this is going to be video number 24, talking about the annotated bibliography. Of course, you can see the assignment sheet under the assignments page. So if you want to follow along with me, you can find this under annotated bibliography. This assignment is going to relate directly to the third essay. So the third essay is an argumentative research essay where you have to find at least 5 sources to kind of support your argument. This assignment is meant to kind of help you with that process and help you understand, and help me help you understand, what sources are you using and how are you using them for your paper, and also citations as well. So kind of due date for this, as I have up here, we're only doing 1 peer review. I kind of changed the schedule a little bit, but this assignment is going to do Wednesday, April 29th. I will then comment on them before your rough draft, which will be the peer review, which is due Monday the 4th. So I used to have this due way before the peer review, kind of several weeks before, but in the past what ended up happening is, students would have research done, but it wouldn't necessarily be relevant for the paper because their ideas would change, and so I just think it's a better idea now to have it just a little bit before, and I give you feedback, and if anything doesn't match up, if you have like a really not credible source, or if you're citing them incorrectly, then you can make those changes before you send in your rough drafts, because I'll comment on them. So some of you may have done an annotated bibliography before. This is also worth 50 points. But some of you might not have, so I'm going to talk about what it is. And so, you're also going to be an MLA format. And the annotated bibliography means that you list a source, as you would for a regular works cited page, okay, and then have a 1 to 2 paragraph annotation that summarizes the source and explains why the source might be useful for your project. So you're annotating that source. So if you've ever heard of word of like annotation before, if you're reading a piece of like an essay or a larger book and you're annotating, you might write little notes on the side, you might highlight, you might think, oh, this is interesting. Similar to what we've been doing with the complex book entries. You've been taking quotes out, you've been thinking about how they're interesting, what do they remind you of. Those complex book entries also kind of helping you for this. And so while you're not bringing out a sentence in that article or book or essay or whatever type of text you're looking at, you are trying to figure out what is this article saying or what is this book saying and how could it be helpful directly for your research. So while the complex book entries were trying to help you maybe make connections with your day-to-day life or something you've experienced in the past, whether it be in a classroom or outside of a classroom, this is specifically directed towards your paper. Okay, so I want to make a really important emphasis that this assignment is directly related to essay number 3. So the research you're doing for this assignment should also be used for your formal essay. So you're not doing extra research. The research for this, it's not extra. It's just to get me to help you to understand what sources you're using and guide you through that process. Okay, so for your essay number 3, you have to find at least 5 sources. For this assignment, you should also be finding 5 sources. And so you should have 5 sources here. Again, right here I have these will all be sources that you will hopefully use for your essay number 3. If by chance you end up not using one, that's okay. You can drop it. But at the time of creating this document, and my hope is because it's due pretty soon before that peer review, that you will more than likely use all of them, if not like 4 out of 5. Okay, so you should be at that point. So what you're going to be doing is, again, this is like the main crust of everything. You're going to be citing the source as you would appear in a works cited page in MLA format. So this is kind of what we're talking about, what you've been doing for complex book entries. So, at the top of your complex book entry, you would have your citation that would appear in a works cited page, and then you would have your 3 quotes in your paragraphs, right? So for this, this is examples of what I've done. I have 2 examples here. I don't have all 5, but I just have 2. But these are 2 examples of what it would look like. So you have the citation here. You have the hanging indent, so this means that you have the first line is not indented, meaning you don't have tab, and every other line after it is. So I like to think of this as the opposite of a paragraph. So in the paragraph, and I actually don't have this done, you would have the first line tabbed over, and then every other line is not tabbed over. A works cited citation, the first line is not tabbed over, but every other line is. So you want to have a hanging indent, everything should be double spaced. Okay, this is a book. This down here is an article, okay, from a journal. So they're cited differently. Remembering that if you have, one author, it's last name, comma, first name, and then any middle initial or name that they add. And if you have more than one author, but fewer than 4, so 1, 2, or 3 authors, you do last name, last name, and first name, last name. If you have more than 4 authors, you're going to do first name, last name of the first author listed, and then et al. So E-T-A-L. So it's just a few kind of reminders for that. But this time you're going to cite the citation as a works cited page. And then each source must have a 1 to 2 paragraph annotation. And each annotation must have a summary of the main ideas of the source. So briefly summarizing what the source is. If it's a book or an article, what is the source saying? And then more importantly, an explanation of why and how that source is useful or significant to your project. Now, you don't have to necessarily say where in the project you're using it. So if you don't necessarily have everything laid out yet, of course, not necessary to say, I'm going to use this in my, first paragraph, line 4. Not to have to be that specific. But ideally, look at this example. So this is a literature review I was doing in grad school about peer review. And so I was doing research for that. And so this is kind of the same idea. I said this article gives clear definitions of collaborative learning, a history of the topic, how it can be a social benefit, and truly analyzes the topic. This, unlike other articles I have cited, is not a case study, but instead of analytical article. Although data is a great resource because of the true knowledge on the subject briefly includes in the article. So this is kind of my summary a little bit. I guess this is more like the summary, just a few sentences. You can have, if you want to have a full paragraph for the summary and a full paragraph for how it's significant, that's fine too. But gotta talk about, this is kind of what it is. And then as a whole, it will be a huge benefit to my essay because the clear definitions of history given, I hope to use as a base and starting point in which I will follow my other sources from. I also hope to grow on his points on peer collaboration as a socially helpful tool in the classroom. Okay, so this is way more specific. This is a little bit more vague, but this sentence is really specific. So again, not saying I'm going to use it in this specific paragraph in this specific page, because at this point in my research, I really don't know where I'm going to put it. I just think it's going to be helpful. Okay, and then down here is something similar. You can take a look and read that if you want to. But you should have 5 sources, and these are how it should be laid out. Okay, so works cited paragraph, and then works cited citation, and then a paragraph or 2 explaining these points. Okay, this is worth 50 points. There are 5 sources that you should be using. Therefore, the way I will be grading it is each source is worth 10 points. So if you only submit 3 sources, that's 30 points. Up to. Okay, so it's up to 30 points. If you submit all 5 citations, but none of them have a actually 5 sources, but none of them have a citation, or none of them have a summary, I'm going to take that off of the paragraph. Okay, so really kind of a simple grading idea, but this is really straightforward of what you need to have. If you have everything, if you're thinking about it, most of the time in past semesters, the aspect that's missing the most is this part, an explanation of why and how that source is useful or significant to your project. Because that's the one, it's easy to summarize. It's easier to summarize, to say, what is this saying? But it's a little bit harder to explain, well, why this has mattered to my paper. What am I doing with this project? How am I using this source for my project? If you're using it for a counter-argument, potentially you can talk about it for a counter-argument. You don't have to know all the answers because you haven't finished your paper yet, more than likely at this point, but you do want to make sure that you're thinking about it, and that's the goal. And then when I give feedback, I will give feedback on the citation. So if there's anything, wrong with the citations, you can make those changes and then just copy and paste them in your formal essay, and then you have a correct citation. A lot of times in the past, I have said this exact same thing in my classes, and then somebody doesn't do it. I'm helping you out, giving you the correct citation, or helping you understand how to change that citation to be correct. And we've done complex book entries all semester. I've made comments on your guys' complex book entries. So for this point in the semester, but also with your essay number 2, you have an idea and understanding about how to go about these citations. So everything has a purpose in this class. It's just might not be for that moment. But as we went along in the semester, helping you understand MLA format to reach this point. Okay, and then everything should be alphabetized. So everything, I have this in bold here. Everything should be in alphabetical order based on whatever comes first. And so this is Broofy, this is B, this is with a Y, so this is the first and second. If you don't have an author, obviously the title would come first. It's just whatever comes first, whatever letter that is. Just put that in alphabetical order. That's going to be important too. Okay, so again, this is due on Wednesday, April 29th, of course, by 11:59 p.m., and this is directly tied to your essay number 3. So take care. I hope you are all doing well, and just never hesitate to shoot me an email. I'm doing this, I guess, now that we are in, online only Google Meet, so I've never known that was an option before. So if anybody wants to kind of conference with me, I guess that's an option, but of course not mandatory whatsoever. But Google Meet with me, email. Let me know if you have any questions. I definitely am here to help you no matter what, but just shoot me an email if you have any issues. Okay, have a great day.